In today's video, I'm going to show you how I made this
Thunder only happens when it's raining.
sound like this.
When the rain washes you clean, you know. Oh, thunder only happens when it's raining.
Hello, what is up? Welcome to my YouTube. One of the crazy things about being autistic is they don't teach you how to swallow. So that happens to me like 10 times a day. It's crazy. It's like I'm like a turkey. I can't drink without drowning myself. Whoa. I need to get some water. Before I get into it, I want to announce the winner of the 2 CDs. I ended up opening 2 of them for the video, so there's 2 winners, and I'm gonna let my machine decide. So if you were either of those people, congratulations. I'm very, very happy for you. Just get in touch with me so I can get your shipping info and get it out to you as soon as possible. I'm still drowning. I can't get anything right. Such a nightmare. So this project was for a remix of Dreams by Fleetwood Mac. When it comes to vocals, as a producer, I'd rather get a vocal with a lot of character than professional, because I find that when an artist brings themselves to the recording, you get a better result than when someone is just trying to stay on pitch. And I'd rather get a vocal with a lot of character than a perfectly pitched vocal with no character. And so for that reason, I don't want any rude comments about the client's pitch. They allowed me to use them as an example, and I think that it's a great take. It's just not pitch corrected, which is like what they hired me to do. Here is the original take.
When the rain washes you clean, you know. Oh, thunder only happens when it's raining.
Like I said, not perfect pitch by any means, but their timbre is on point, and I think they do an excellent Stevie Nicks. Okay, so the first thing I always put on every vocal track is a Melodyne plugin right at the beginning. That is what I use to do most of my pitch correction and timing stuff. This is what it sounds like with that on.
When the rain washes you clean, you know.
And so Melodyne's really cool because what it does is it converts your vocal into these little blob looking things. I think they're actually called blobs in the manual. But basically, if I highlight one, you can start to hear, you can hear the vocal that it represents. So when tuning these vocals, what you're basically doing is splitting them and pitching them around. I already did it.
When the rain washes you clean, you know.
So what Melodyne is doing is it's converting all of the syllables and vowels into these little blob-looking things. What that lets you do is lets you change the pitch. It has macros. I like to pitch it by ear, and I'll tell you why in a second. This is also used for timing. So if I turn on the grid, turn on snapping, so you can actually change the timing of these as well. Which obviously doesn't sound very good, but when it's in the right spot, it sounds pretty good. Another thing that you can do with Melodyne is you can change the pitch modulation. It's basically the vibrato, and if you zoom in real close, you can kind of see, like, this is what Melodyne is reading. And you can drag it down to just kind of squash it. If you squash it all the way, you get like an autotune effect. But if you squash it just a little bit, then it sounds a little bit more precise. And I wanted something a little bit in between. You know, I don't want to completely strip the vocal of its character. I don't want to strip the singer's personality out of the song. You can also do pitch drift. Human beings tend to drift over time when they sing. So for this particular note, they started a little high and then they went down low. And pitch drift just kind of like tilts that relationship back towards the center.
And the rain was, and when the rain washes you clean, you know.
There's also formant shifting. Formant is what people kind of associate with gender. Young feminine voices have a high formant. And masculine voices have a darker formant. Sometimes adjusting the formant can make it sound just a tiny bit better. It's hard to explain why, it's just kind of a taste thing. Like I think this could be a little bit brighter. So yeah, that's what Melodyne does. Melodyne's amazing. It's also very expensive. I think it's worth it. So up next in the chain is a gate. All it's doing is eliminating a little bit of room noise that I wanted to get rid of. I'm not going to go over it. It doesn't really matter. But then next I have a copy of Waves Tune. And this is why I mentioned earlier that I like to correct by ear, compensate for a little bit of the human imperfection. And as you can see, I only have it set to correction 59. It's pretty light autotune, you know, but it just will keep the notes a little bit more on pitch. For like a T-Pain effect, you'd crank this to 100 and crank these down.
When the rain washes you clean, you.
I guess more like a share effect in this situation, but if I turn this back.
When the rain washes you clean, you know.
To a place where it kind of sounds more human and more natural. Waves Tune is pretty cheap, and I like it. I would say it's a really good alternative to Antares Autotune for sure. After that, I have this copy of Pro Q3, and I really love to talk about this feature. This is here to tame a frequency right here around 908. There's like a little bit of a... It's just like a little bit squeaky, so I brought it down. And then this hump.
When the rain washes you clean, you know.
This hump is this like incredible feature called dynamic EQ. Essentially, as this peak reaches a certain threshold, it gets pushed down even more, kind of like a compressor, but just for that one specific frequency band. So it's really good for taming things that are ringing or just resonant or what have you.
When the rain washes you clean, you know.
And I think the effect ends up being very transparent just because it's so precisely targeting that one frequency. So basically give FabFilter all of your money because they make the best plugins. Next is a copy of Pro C, which is just kind of squashing the vocal a little bit to give it a little bit more consistency.
When the rain washes you clean, you know.
I might slow it down a little bit.
When the rain washes you clean, you know.
You know that you're like old when you start to like hear compression. I don't know how else to put it. The next two plugins are both FabFilter's timeless delay. First copy.
When the rain washes you clean, you know.
Like a springy little retro sounding delay. I started with vintage analog delay and I just adjusted it a little bit. Gives it like a nice 70s feel and kind of like warms up the recording a little bit. And then the second copy of Timeless is just there to give a little bit more space, a little bit more room in the mix for this vocal.
When the rain washes you clean, you know.
And when I combine them,
When the rain washes you clean, you know.
So that's basically it for this lead vocal, and this is what it all sounds like together.
When the rain washes you clean, you know.
But I didn't want to stop there because this song has such iconic harmonies in it, and I figured I'd just show you how I do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is duplicate this entire track, and I'm going to turn it down because it's the lower one, rename it to lower, and solo it, and then I'm going to pop open Melodyne, and I think it goes like, when the rain washes you clean, you'll know. I sound really bad. I'm going to literally Melodyne that. Watch. I can adjust the format so that they sound like a slightly different singer.
When the rain washes you clean, you know. When the rain washes you clean, you know. When the rain washes you clean, you know. When the rain washes you clean, you know.
And so if I tuck that back there by turning it down,
when the rain washes you clean, you know.
It kind of sounds more natural. It's weird. Like if you solo this,
When the rain washes,
it sounds really strange, but when you tuck it back,
when the rain washes you clean, you know.
and then next I just, duplicate the main one more time. I'm going to call this higher. So if I recall correctly, the upper harmony goes, when the rain washes you clean, you'll know. So I'm just going to, pop those notes up there. And so since this is the higher voice, I want to make a higher backup singer. So I'll give them a slightly brighter timbre.
When the rain washes you clean, you know.
And again, it sounds very uncanny right now.
When the rain washes you clean, you know. When the rain washes,
But if I tuck it into that mix,
when the rain washes you clean, you know.
and I think it sounds pretty good. So as long as that lead vocal is front and center, you can add as many of these harmonies as you want. I could add more harmonies to this if I wanted to. I wouldn't, because I think Dreams is a perfect song.
When the rain washes you clean, you know. The thunder only happens when it's raining.
So anyways, Melodyne is super powerful, and all of these FabFilter plugins are amazing. If you liked that, leave a comment and perhaps subscribe. It's up to you. And you can also reach out to me if you want some help with your vocals. I am a work-for-hire producer. That's where I make most of my shmoolah. Also, you might have noticed that these videos have background music, and those are all actually songs that I make specifically for each video. And so I was wondering if that would be an interesting, like, Patreon exclusive type thing. I was gonna live stream the process of making them and then make the live streams available on Patreon as an exclusive thing. I think that, like, some people like to watch songs from start to finish, and I haven't really done anything like that. So please let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in. And other than that, I'll see you next time. Thank you and peace out.